YouTube, it's Anneke Van Buren of Tampa, Florida. Well, we've had a couple of warm days where we didn't have to turn the heaters on, but it's going right back down there tonight to 39. And it seems we're going to be in this pattern for a little while longer. So this week I hopped in my car and went down to the furrier where I have my coat in storage and picked up my full-length black gamma mink. That would make a nice update, wouldn't it? Absolutely have to have champagne with that coat. But today we're going to be a little more casual. So I got up early this morning and I knew I wasn't going to have time to do it this afternoon and get a shoot in and go to the hair salon, which is what you're seeing right here. Change the color a little. It's so beautifully shiny. I just love that when you come out of the salon. Wish it could look like that all the time. And I made my cookies this morning. And here are a few. And they're homemade. Here's some smaller ones. And here's some bigger ones, if you like big chocolate chips. I made these a little differently though. And I'm going to put the recipe down below in the description. This is the recipe for the original Toll House cookies. But I took some liberties in that I used a Swerve brown sugar, which is a substitute brown sugar. And then I used Lily's Semi-Sweet dark chocolate chips that don't have sugar. So they have a little bit different taste. I think every time you use one of these sugar substitutes, you're still going to get a little bite of an Napster taste. But it's worth it. They're still good. And I made 2.5 batches and I let them cool and then I put them in Ziploc bags and I'm going to give them away to my neighbors and who are right around me. So it's a dessert, right? So let's have a dessert cocktail. I've made this for you before, but I think it's appropriate with a chocolate chip cookie. I'm going to make you a brandy Alexander. Now, I can only have a sip because I'm still on antibiotics. So what we're first going to start out with is an ounce of brandy. I love having my cordials and my nicer liquors and carafes. And then we're going to do an ounce of creme de cocoa. So I'm not doing this in the middle of the kitchen. I thought maybe you'd like to see a different view for a change. There's more parts of my house than just my kitchen. This is the dining area. And then my little bar over here. And then the Christmas tree in the living room is that way. And the recipe calls for an ounce of heavy cream, but I wanted to lighten it up. So it's going to be a little thinner than it usually would be. I'm using an ounce of half and half. Of course, the heavy cream is great. But the cookie's rich and the drink is really, really rich. So we put those two together and it's almost a little bit too much. So here's my shaker. Get that top on nice and tight. It doesn't need a lot, it just needs to get a little cold. I'll tell you about the outfit in a minute. You don't have to shake it like you would martini. And there's my coupe. Perfect color for brandy Alexander, don't you think? And strain and pour in there. Perfect. There you go. Look. Isn't that pretty? But one more step. Unless you hate nutmeg, this is an absolute must at the top of a brandy Alexander. Either fresh grated nutmeg, which would be perfect, or dried. I'm only going to have a sip. and a taste. So here's the Brandy Alexander. Perfect with a half and half. Here's a chocolate chip cookie. We'll toast both. Delish. That I'm going to save for later, before I go to bed. It's always fun to have cookies before I go to bed, isn't it? Then I'll show you what I'm wearing. I think you've seen this before. It's very much a Chanel type style dress. It's a knit. As you can see, it's pink, and it's banded around the edges with black, which is sort of a nod to her trademark. And then the pockets, she would have pockets right here with buttons on the outside. These don't have a real pocket. And then I thought, why not black suede thigh-high boots? You know? And these always kind of slip down, so they really go all the way up. Let me turn around. And that's my chocolate chip cookie Brandy Alexander update for you this week. I'll see you next week, earlier. If you like watching, please subscribe. And if you want to be notified when a new one comes up, then just hit the little bell. You'll find the description. In the description box below, you'll find the recipes for the cocktail, and I'll also include the Toll House cookie recipe. I hope you've had a lovely week, and you have an even lovelier weekend for this holiday season planned for you and for yours. My very best wishes for enjoying every aspect of this special season, whether it's a religious holiday for you, a Santa Claus time with your kids, traditional observances that have come down through your family, through the years. You know, you just have to put that wreath in that certain spot because your mom made it for you. Or Granny saved those vintage ornaments. All those special things. Right now I have candles lit. I love spruce candles and balsam, spruce and common. Balsam combination of candles in my home when you walk in the door. Here in Florida, we do have, they do sell live trees. And what's interesting is that if it's more typical of the weather here, we'll have our air conditioning on. So the trees will last longer, as long as you water them. But for me, I just have my little skinny fake tree from Walmart. And it makes me happy. So here's to you in the rest of this week. And I hope you will remember that if you meet someone today, new or this week, it doesn't cost a thing to be kind. Namaste, my friends.